Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ever so controversial Shawn Walsh Show. But today is a treat for all of you. For the first time ever, I'm not having one, but two very special guests. And on top of that, this isn't audio. We're going high class here. We're going video. The two guests I have, if you haven't heard already, we have the Alex Enterprise and M Accuracy. Yourself.
Hi.
So, how are you guys doing?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
Great.
Freaking tired.
Yes, very tired.
I want to make sure that this camera stays as still as
wobbly.
possible. But if you get a little wobble on your end, shut the fuck up and enjoy it.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
Seriously.
I work hard for this. You understand me? I'll murder you.
Exactly.
I'll burn your family. Alright, move on to the questions, please.
And he's the least violent of the both. That's what's that.
Alright. Very excited to be on the Shawn Walsh Show, though. Actually, it's like great opportunity, finally. I never on these podcasts and all these different shows, so I want to get myself out there. And then everybody loves this guy.
Yeah, this guy here. This guy. Drink water, it's nice.
Alright, well, let's get started. Since we're talking about the show. And by the way, these are all your fan-submitted questions, the nearly 40 questions you guys all sent.
Nearly 40?!
Oh, Jesus.
You guys must be pretty popular.
That's not enough, though.
Y'all could have done better.
You know what? We're canceling the show now.
Yeah.
We need more. I'm sorry. No.
We need more?
Yeah, we need more.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I'm
get
taking my
out
team
of here.
I mean, with some of the recent questions, I mean, it might make it 50s.
And what do you know? See, you're balking like Bruno Sammartino.
Alright, let's get this started. So, for the both of you, what are your thoughts on Ryan Carroll's podcast when I had him on? And the comments he had to say, which some would say were controversial. What are your guys' take on it?
I did not hear the full podcast, so if there were any extra comments besides the stuff that he had to say on Raging Redneck, I mean, I'm sure he had some other stuff to say, but that's like the biggest thing I heard about.
Yeah.
See, I've noticed that anybody that gives any sort of criticism on Ray Getty's it's almost like those Twilight fangirls. It's like, as soon as you critique it, you're doomed for all eternity. Which, mind you, this isn't a knock on Ray. He's a great guy.
Oh, it's
But I think his fans just need to realize that, you know, Ryan, as annoying as he came off as when he was talking about Ultimate Glory, he did not really dig deep onto Ray Getty's. I mean, think about it. All he said was, don't take the bloom off the rose too quickly. I mean, there's plenty of time to build Ray Getty's to the COH audience. I mean, yeah, sure, you know him from CCL, but people who watch COH don't know who he's about, and if he wins the world title, they're going to be like, well, what?
Yeah, as somebody who, I don't watch a whole lot of CAW. Like, as much of a fan as I am of it, I am personally a fan of the actual interactive part of it that you have as your own person. The character creation, the promos, the storylines, the booking, all that stuff. So I try to make as much of an effort as I can to focus as little time as possible on the different federations. So I don't pay attention to much stuff. I just don't. It's too much clutter for me personally. I see how other people are able to do it because it's fun. But there's just certain federations I've never heard of, and they have massive followings.
I've never watched an episode of CCL. So, I mean, Ray Getty's was my introduction to it, as well as Great D, even though Great D really hasn't shown me anything in COH. But suffice to say, see, there you go. I'm not familiar with the CCL product, so if you were to just give him the world title right off the bat, as much as you all are saying, oh, well, he's so great, well, then, if I see him win the world title, I'm going to be confused and be like, this guy just came in. Not only that, you've got all these other talent that you're trying to build up, and you've already built up to a point where now the COH audience is familiar with that character. You would think, all right, we should focus on him more while we start to get Ray Getty's comfortable in the COH universe. Because who knows, what if Ray Getty's at one point just says, you know what, this is enough for me. I don't need this anymore. Then you've just wasted your time just pushing him so quickly. So.
And that's nothing against him, and that's nothing against CCL. It's literally, it's nothing against any that's the thing too. I do feel like no matter what Carroll said, knowing who Carroll is, what he probably said might have come across as more annoying than it was actually like some bullshit or some rude things to say. That's just me knowing Carroll personally. He's not like that type of person, at least that I've seen. And regardless with everything else that he said, especially like for instance on the Sonny situation, that's his opinion. It's what am I going to do? Why do? And the other thing is too, with the way I heard him voice his opinion on Sonny, it doesn't seem like at this point there's even a beef. Is there?
No beef.
As far as I know, there isn't. I would have heard it by now. I know Sonny wanted to quit. He was thinking about leaving. I could vaguely remember him saying he wanted to take a hiatus, but it was like, no, don't do it just because somebody critiqued your work.
Not everyone's gonna like you.
Not everyone's gonna like you. Trust me.
You gotta do your own thing. You have to.
You gotta do your thing, man.
So whatever else Carroll said, it's
do your thing.
Yeah,
just do your thing.
All right. To the both of you, your favorite Claw tag team. I presume this is of all time.
All time.
Shoot. Wow.
I would have to say, from trying to be as unbiased as possible, Team Yesbeard, because this was a team that was built up wonderfully in the sense that these were two guys that didn't get along. They hated each other. It helped Patriot turn into a face. They became a comical tag team, but meanwhile, when they won the tag team titles and they started defending it, they defended it successfully, God knows how many times, held it for a long time, and were a serious threat, despite the fact they were goofy.
Yeah, they beat some teams. They
beat some legit teams. They had it for a
beat
while.
us.
They beat you. Then they lost them to you.
Yeah.
But the whole point is that that team was looked at as a serious threat, despite the fact that they were a comical tag team. So that would be my pick.
I'm gonna say 3 names, because they're all different, like, little bit of a favorite for some odd reason or another. Yesbeard would be, like, you already mentioned them, so there's no point. You already said everything I would say about them. But the other people I would pick would be, first, on a personal level, it's my own, like, sort of creation, your way and same. So, team ratings from my old federation, YLWA. Johnny Thunder, and this guy as, like, Denox. And to basically describe that character, as you said even, it's like Miz mixed with Patriot on a more vulgar level, basically.
Pretty much, yes.
Then you also got, even though it's his show, I gotta give credit to the Egotistical Bastards. After they added in J-Crack, the entertainment factor of them as like a group is now just on another level.
I'll say this about Ego. They are the one team that stuck together in almost every Caw Fed.
Yeah.
They are the one Caw team that said, you know what, everywhere we go we're going to be a team. So they are the most dedicated and loyal pairing. Despite the fact that Carroll's a fat fuck, I don't know why you want to team with him.
I get that question a lot.
And not only that, he's from Baltimore.
I know, it's terrible. We clash on that a lot.
Right.
So, that's all I got to say about that.
Alright, since you guys brought up Team Yesbeard, this is directed towards you. Your thoughts on Carl Jams, and I presume this is also about his unfortunate, quiet exit.
I'm disappointed. You know, Carl Jams, I thought, had a lot of more energy and juice left in him had he stayed around. Originally, spoiler alert, see how the Ultimate Glory 4 main event is Patriot and Zane LaFontaine? Originally, I was going to pitch Patriot versus Carl Jams for the title. Yeah, see?
It's a clash.
Clash of the Champions. But then he fucking disappeared. I even told him personally I wanted Patriot to drop the belt to him, because that was a year-long decided booking angle for Patriot to win the title, and it's all thanks to this fucker here. So, yeah, I think I'm disappointed. He had more leverage left. I think it would have been great to either A, have him realize he wasn't the Marty Jannetty of Team Yes Feud, or B, have him go heel and see what he could have done from there. So, great talent. Could have been better had he not disappeared.
Alright. Who are some guys you think people should give a fair shot to or a different look at in Call? Maybe someone who's got a bad rep.
I would have said Levi had it not been for his, what I heard about from J-Crack, that he had been instigating a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's not unjustifiably, what's the word I'm looking for? Unintentionally
Right.
trying to do it. I don't think he means to do it.
No, I don't think so either.
I mean, I haven't spoken to Levi in a while. I know he sent me a couple messages a while back. I know he sent me a birthday message, which, thank you, by the way. I would have said him, but he's kind of digging himself a hole deeper. But he could be on that list. That's it. The ball's in your court, dude. I'm passing that off to you.
I mean, I can't really think of anybody. Mainly because most of the people that I feel like are somewhat disliked still have gotten their shots. So, I don't know. There's just certain people who they might screw themselves over as far as their personality goes, things like that, but people still end up getting shots, like title matches, or pushes, or, you know, a whole lot of different things. So I never actually thought too much about that. There's always people getting shots, and whether it's in COH or another federation, so it's just a matter of finding your way. Knowing the right people.
Oh, of course.
For the both of you, are there any angles in Call you guys just hate?
Currently or of all time?
Of all time.
Alright.
Oh, man.
Where do I begin with that one?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of Justin's, Collins's feds had a lot of like weird shit. Nothing specific. I'll say this. Years ago, everybody knows Amazing Punk. We all have a love-hate relationship with Amazing Punk. We all think that he took something that could have been considered bad, but he turned it around and made something of it, right?
Right.
Had Amazing Punk been booked like The Wiz years ago, in case you're unaware, The Wiz was a Miz knockoff, obviously, but the guy that portrayed him was very uncharismatic. He wasn't good on the mic, and instead of being pushed like Amazing Punk, they tried to book him seriously. And this is just coming from somebody myself. There have been people, I'm not going to name anybody specifically, who said that they would stop watching YTCW had Wiz gotten the world title. I will admit back in the day when I was younger and dumber that I took that type of shit too seriously. But looking back on it, by the same token, I can understand people's frustrations because he was getting a push in the same vein that Sonny was getting this push that apparently was unjustifiable. But this one was even more, because at least Sonny has shown some signs of improvement, whereas Wiz was just pushed in a spot that was, it's like the Roman Reigns. It's like he was force-fed that spot and was doomed to fail.
Right.
In other words. So that would be the worst angle, was the overexposure of him. Any other terrible angles, I would say, was the NWO angle that David did. That was an angle where...
David did.
Yeah.
And this is David, by the way,
From YTCW.
former owner of YTCW.
Yeah, this guy,
you could, like, make a best of DVD with some of the worst ideas from that.
that angle was bad because he brought it up, he made the angle, it was Scott, Gilbert Blaze, Cool Nerd, and Bay Area Bad Boy. They he was going to plan that until WrestleMania, and then what happens on a war zone, everybody turns on Scott and the NWO ends. And it wasn't like an epic end, it was just like, oh, well, NWO's over. Okay, whatever.
Also, him giving ECW Grunge the title after having him betray me was retarded, didn't make much sense. Like, when I look back in the grand scheme of things, it was really cheap for David to do as far as the storyline goes. What else did I like? To be more recent, 7 Deadly Sins versus the 10 fucking Commandments. Fuck that up the ass. How are you going to make the heel team look dominant if they're outnumbered? That's not fair.
Well, I do equal 2
Basically,
or 3 people.
and no, come on. You got other people on the other side, though, who are so big, they also equal like 2 or 3 people.
But does Owen B. Youngblood count? Come on.
Alright, well, regardless, as far as the storyline goes, it didn't make sense. How are you, and first of all, I need to backhand whoever actually, I don't remember who it was that came up with the idea, but Travis,
What,
you're
Ten
going to get
Commandments?
it back. Yeah,
That was Levi.
That was Levi. Yeah. He made that and just made the picture.
It was only supposed to be 7 Deadly Sins. And
Travis
then,
is going to get a backhand when I see him for letting that actually happen. As far as a storyline goes, if you are going to tell me that the 2 largest heel factions in the company are merging together, alright, to create a super evil, like, pack, basically, but then you're basically just going to form a babyface Justice League to kill us? Like, literally, how did I lose the title? We were outnumbered. We had the shit beat out of us, and I was just like, oh my god, I don't have it. Okay, fine, I'll tap out. Fine. Because everybody got their ass kicked. Everybody on a silver platter. Like, come on.
Well, I didn't. I was never shown.
Yeah, that's because he's a lazy bum.
Yeah, I just walked out of the arena then.
Yeah, he was probably killing a homeless
No, I saw everybody and being, I'm like, oh, fuck that.
Yeah. But, no, that was, as far as a recent storyline goes, one of the ones that I am so unhappy with being a part of, only because it could have been something really, really good, and it ended up being a whole pile of ass gravy. Just as far as, like, the logical thinking of it goes, it just sort of shitted on 2 really good teams. Egotistical Bastards by themselves were a good team. Accurate Enterprise by themselves, good team. Then you just gave all these other good guys something to fight against. And, I mean, it made sense in the fact that they all were going to gang up against us sooner or later. But you literally gave them a name, you gave them a group, and everything. So from the get-go, we were fucked. It wasn't like, oh, let's just do this all together at the end of Anniversary 3 Night 3. No! This was going on for like a month or 2. Not very fair as far as heel-face storylines go. Another one that I can think of off the top of my head that another really bad one. Let's see. Me being the GM of Rage. As far as like a storyline goes.
Oh,
the
God.
whole YLWA, YTW
Yes.
merger stuff, it wasn't cool. It
You
wasn't fun.
were horrible.
Yeah, I was terrible.
You had me come out as an evil angel, and back then they had the whole Create a Superstar entrance. And so there's one point where I'm walking down with a kendo stick because I had part of Sandman's entrance.
Mind you, I'm also on commentary as like the general manager of the show. Also on commentary.
Yes.
Because I had to do double duty. And he's coming out. I see him with the kendo stick, and I point it out verbally.
Yes, you're like, put that down, put that down.
I can't believe he's walking out to the match with a kendo stick. You can't do that.
Yes, and then next thing, there's a shot of me without the kendo stick, and he's like, thank you.
Literally, because I mixed in 2 different Superstar entrances. I didn't even know the first Superstar entrance that I gave him was Sandman's until I actually watched it. I didn't know. I felt so stupid.
And then to make matters worse, was that, I think it was that same match, I beat somebody by cheating, and then somebody who was at the commentary booth happened to show up on the Titantron to tell me that I cheated. I mean...
And then, okay, and here's the kicker. The next show, TLD, who's like the Randy Orton of the show, right? Me and him got some craziness going on as well. I have a match against him. I take 2 of his finishers, and I'm not done. Okay? The owner, non-wrestler, took 2 finishers, not done. I was a terrible booker back in the day. I shouldn't have been allowed to touch a Call wrestling show. But it helped with YLWA because my terrible booking ended up being hilarious. But that was still some bad storylines that I was a part of.
And me too.
Well, speaking of some storylines, thoughts on the OBN?
Oh God, Nate. Listen,
And this is nothing against Nate
No.
or any of the members of the OBN, because I know at least half of those people, if I say something or he says something that's remotely actually like offensive, I will end up with some type of like severed hand or something from a family member at my doorstep, alright?
well, I know Rudo will get offended because
Oh, yeah.
he always gets offended at anything that criticizes him. So, by the time this video shows up and he watches it, he's gonna like say that I raped my girlfriend or something.
Well, you said OBN, so he's already offended.
Yeah, he's already like, oh my God, I got some bad news for him. Anyways, OBN. When I first saw it happen, believe it or not, that was inspired by the Revolution angle that I did with my company. It was YTCW members coming in to invade the same exact way that Travis did it. And Travis will blatantly admit that he got it from me. Which, that's all I need. That's all, whatever. Because mine had Morris, it had Kristen D, Chris Kennedy, David, it had ECW Paul, it had DTP, Liam G, and I think there was one other guy. I don't even remember.
It was Mutant, I think.
No, Mutant was on my side.
Oh?
I can't even remember the mean guy.
Oh well.
It doesn't matter.
TLD?
No.
Rick Cage?
No, Rick Cage was YLWA.
That's true.
So anyways, so the OBN comes in, right? Now, they came in with a lot of fire. I'll give them that. The problem was that there was nobody that could have been booked as a backup guy in case Nate fell out with Travis or had to take a hiatus or whatever. Perfect example, Ready to Rumble. He made the stipulation that if he lost, he was gone. He lost, he had to be gone. So what happens? There's nobody to take over except for Johnny Thunder, who's only a mouthpiece. So what is
all a fuck up too?
Right, and so it got so bad to the point where Travis had to bring him back. He had to come up with an excuse to bring Nate back. The group, in my opinion, got really, really stale very quickly.
Oh yeah.
It was a stale group because everybody. I remember you were involved.
Yeah.
Somewhat. Carol, I think, was not involved. Brandon Hayes barely said anything. Caleb was one of the more vocal characters of the group.
Right.
Rudo made like one promo.
The other messed up part about it too, with all the members that were in this group, half of them didn't even want to be in the group.
J-Com.
Or didn't even know.
No, well, that's the thing, because we didn't know. Like, we were, almost none of us knew. As far as we knew, it was like Nate, AJ, and Travis knew it was going to happen, and all of a sudden we saw on the CWS page that we invaded. And we thought, oh, it's CWS invasion. Like, no, it's the OBN. I'm like, okay.
Well, still, OBN was supposed to be another version of CWS guys coming in, kind of like the Revolution. They were YTCW guys.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you guys came in, then they bring in Johnny Thunder. Okay, I'll let that one slide. Why did they bring in J-Com? What did he add to the group? At least Johnny Thunder was another mouthpiece, along with AJ.
Mm-hmm.
And
he added. He added. He did more of a part for that group than 2/3 of the entire group.
And
And he wasn't even from CWS. He probably was just added because he wanted to be in a heel group.
so the group itself, I think, was supposed to go into Ultimate Glory, but it got so damn stale that they had to cut it. I know it was my idea to end it with an Elimination Chamber, with the whole idea that I would be involved, and it would be a storyline of can they trust him accuracy. Sure, it's all about me at the end of the day, but hey, at least there's a storyline where I think originally I pitched Bateman, myself, and Goonie. I wanted it to be us three, but Bateman pitched for Zayn to get him over. that way Goonie can have a title match or something because he was the champion at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was
The
fine
title
with that.
match was against me.
And I think it was even better. Yeah, it was against you. And I think it was better that it was Zayn because Zayn had dealt with me just prior.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's that whole like
A lot of fuel in the fire.
a lot of fuel in the fire to like get Justin to realize you do realize you're putting your trust into somebody that you can't trust. But Justin knows that even the enemy of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So as much as Justin and I, kayfabe wise, don't like each other, we hate the OBN that much more.
Now, the OBN2, just to summarize it up, the reason, in my opinion, why it wouldn't work and never could, work after about 3 or 4 months was because of the fact that groups like that in the history of pro wrestling have never worked. The
Nexus.
Wyatt family, when you have one core person right at the front and center, and then it's just like backup people all behind them. You tell me, when has that ever worked? It's always one person, 2 at most, that make it out of that bitch alive, and everybody else gets shitted on.
Yeah, think about it. Nexus had about maybe 10 members to its whole core, and only one of them really made it big, and the guy that made it big was only in it for like 4 days.
Yeah.
And the other thing about it too is, as far as a group goes, I'd rather have a group that's like the Shield, where all of them have to rely on each other, and none of them stick out.
Yeah, like Enterprise.
Exactly. Like, that was the whole idea of it, is there's maybe like one person at most that you're like, ooh, let me, that guy, I know that guy, or, oh, that guy looks cool. But then they're also in an awesome group, where it's like, wait a second, they're always around with each other. I gotta check these people out.
Or hell, another example would be Evolution.
Exactly, where the people get built up that are in it. If you are not currently on our level, you will be. We're going to put you on the path to be there. In bigger groups or groups where it's solely focused around one person completely,
Nexus.
then
Nexus.
it just doesn't work. The Wyatt family, seriously.
To be fair, I think the Wyatt family worked.
The Wyatt family worked until they broke up. Eric Rowan is on his way to being released, basically.
Yeah. And
Luke Harper will be saved by the fact that he's a great worker.
And he had an Intercontinental title run, which lasted like 2 weeks.
Regardless, though,
Right.
just speaking wrestling-wise, with booking and storylines, it just doesn't work that way.
Right.
It hasn't, and it won't. And it's nothing against the people from the OBN, because Caleb Blair, AJ Young,
Right.
Nate still, you got Ego still.
Yep.
You know, you have people that are still around in COH, still kicking ass, still doing great. Good. But they might have not ever gotten that shot had they not had OBN disintegrate when it did.
Right. So.
Let me add some light to the back of this, too. I want to make sure that we still have lighting going on.
Yes.
Continue with the questions, though, Sean.
Alright,
Because it's good in dark out.
It
Oh,
is.
yeah. Alright, since we talked about the OBN, thoughts on Generation Next?
Oh, that's YWF.
Yeah, it's YWF.
That's Chronix, Mocha Bane, Marco Rose, Amir, and
AM Punk.
Yeah.
and his woman, Chester. It reminds me of,
Well, first of all, Generation Next was already used. That's an ROH thing.
yeah,
I just want to point that out.
well, name-wise, yeah.
Great group to take a name off of, though, because as far as Ring of Honor goes, those are one of my favorite people. Alex Shelley, come on. Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yes. Generation X, they remind me of The Authority, in a way.
Yeah, a bit.
A bit.
Yeah.
So,
They have a comical side to them, though. I really like that. Marco and Chronix, when we met them,
yes.
they're funny. Like, they have a comic wit to them that I wish some other people in CAW had.
So one thing I will give them, definitely, you can't deny it. Anybody who saw the promo where Patriot gave Marco the ankle lock and broke his ankle, that was Marco's idea. That was not mine, that was not Chronic's, that was not Patriot's, that was Marco's. Marco wanted to get his ankle broken by the Patriot. And I can't remember if it was him or me that came up with the judo chop.
judo chop. I think that was on the fly or something like that. I remember having to hold the camera for that whole thing, and I hope I got some good angles because I never saw it on the actual YWF show.
The one thing I loved about that promo was the facial reactions when Patriot was talking.
Oh yeah.
Like the part where he goes, "You're gonna get booed straight out of the building," and they just look like,
yeah. Like, huh?
Like what? Chronix' reaction when he got dissed. See, that's why I like working with Chronix, because he's good with facial reactions.
And that is something. Now, on the topic of that, if there is anything to learn from that group, and I'm not even a huge follower, I've only seen a minimal amount, right? But if there's anything to learn from that group, it is the mannerisms, the facial expressions, because as heels, they know how to look and they know how to work. And it all just gels.
And they present themselves as top guys. That's what you need when you're a top guy.
That's what helped almost everyone to ever achieve top guy status, is to claim the part in your promos and in your character.
In other words, it's like a stand-up comedian. A stand-up comedian says this, not literally, but this is my stage, I rule it, you're listening to me. That's basically what you're supposed to be as a main eventer. I'm the man, you listen to me, you pay attention to me, there's a reason why people focus on me. And that's, I guess, that's Gen Next, because that's what Mocha Bane has done. And despite the fact Mocha Bane is friends with Chronix and Marco, I think that he's done a good enough job to where it's not favoritism. He's earned his stripes. So.
Alright. Next question. If you could kill one tribe of Native Americans, what would it be?
I believe that was for me.
The Briscoes.
The Algonquins. Iroquois all the way, baby. Yeah.
Alright, you work very well in Travis's Call of Honor.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so this is his.
Yes.
Right.
Has this softened your stance as a hardline white supremacist?
You know, you have been wearing white hoods a lot. Like
That's true. And I mean, like Kerwin used to say, white is right.
No, if it ain't white, it ain't right.
Either way, the adage still remains the
How
same.
do I remember that? Now I'm going to be accused of shit.
Regardless,
By Rudo. Specifically.
white supremacy, it's not my thing, baby. It's not my bag. Moving on.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10.
Right.
How old are the girls you have chained up in your basement?
How old? Oof. Well, some of them range from, I don't know. Well, let's see. I am not a kitty fiddler, so we'll say 18 to about 150.
I don't really have a number to give because they're all decomposing. So what's the number ahead of 0? I don't know. There's nothing to really.
It's almost like that scene in Jeepers Creepers, where the first one, where Justin Long sees all those bodies and they look like wood.
Yeah,
that's basically
where they're all sewn together and stuff
all
like
sewn
that.
together.
Yeah, man, that's what I got going on.
All right. Is it harder being a call wrestler or a call owner?
Call owner, by far. Because a call wrestler, all you gotta do is come with the ideas of what you want to do. The owner decides if he's gonna go with it or not, and if he does, then they take it from there. As a call owner, you've got to hear a lot of ideas. Some of them will not like the fact that you may reject some or give them some, depending on how you run your company. You will engage with computer issues sometimes when you record your shit. Sometimes the editing takes forever. Video editing software can be a pain in the ass to deal with. And even if you can get all the shows put together and then upload it, then you've got to deal with YouTube's copyright restrictions.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's caused me to not want to continue. I mean,
for me personally, being that I haven't been a CAW Federation owner for like the past 4 years, basically, I'm going to say CAW Wrestler because of my perfectionism and because of the, I don't know, the certain, like, levels that I have to put myself on mentally to basically be where I have to be for the character, to say what I think I need to say, and I'm always nitpicking my shit. So, for me as a character, it's a bit harder, and I like it, only because when I was doing YLWA, this is also back when you could be a bit lazier. You could have a bit more fun. I also didn't have to deal with people complaining about my booking, because no one ever really gave me any ideas. Half of my roster was people I created, so they didn't exist to complain to me. And then the other half were, like, some of them were people that were cutting promos, others were just CAW characters from other federations that I just basically ripped off of or took. So, either way, I never really had a big problem with YLWA. It was always fun. Always good memories and everything. So, I'd say for now, CAW Wrestler. But that's only because I haven't been a CAW owner for a while.
Alright. Alright, this one's for Steve. Who is ECW Grunge and what happened between you and him in YTCW?
Ooh, this is a story I've repeated many times, but this is for the public. Okay, so we were talking earlier. So I was the champ, and
You weren't the champ, you were the chump.
bitch. So I was the champion, and Alex, who I was working for at the time, came up with this idea. The idea was that he wanted me to throw the YTCW title in the garbage. I didn't feel comfortable doing it for one reason. At the time, David had given me everything I wanted. So I said, alright, I'll do it on one condition. If I throw his title in the trash like Medusa, then I want to do to your title like what Shane Douglas did with the NWA title. Say, you can all kiss my ass, throw it on the ground. I believe you were cool with it, and I cut the promo, and I alerted David, you know what, this is what's going to happen.
Didn't want you to alert him, but you had to, like a sucker.
Yeah, I thought he would have been understanding.
There was a surprise factor involved. This was literally the actual Monday Night Wars of CAW, because this was when it was really serious.
Right, but had knowing David and what he had become, had that happened, I would have been gone. And not knowing where you were going to go with YLWA, to be honest, I didn't think you were going to do it long. So that's what made me uncomfortable. But, suffice to say, I told him the idea. He came off like, oh, okay, cool. Then he did a screwjob angle, kind of like the Montreal Screwjob, where he had ECW Grunge beat me for the title in a screwjob fashion. But he said, no, it's okay. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to have you come back at WrestleMania and screw Grunge for the title, kind of like, and start up a feud. Now, keep in mind, we find out later that it wasn't me that spilled the beans to David, it was Grunge. Grunge was the rat.
And looking back on that situation in hindsight, I feel really stupid about it. But then again, I was also at the time like 16 years old. So, as far as playing these types of tricks on me, I didn't even know
Actually,
tricks were...
I think you were 15.
Yeah, I might have been even younger than that. So, this is like a 20-something-year-old CAW Federation owner who slipped a mole into my company named ECW Grunge. I was like an idiot accepting him with open arms. Like, ooh, yeah, come on, YLWA too. Spilled the beans to him without even knowing it, basically, in casual conversation. He goes to David. Steve goes to David. Steve gets screwed over, Grunge gets put over as the mole, and then...
Alright, but now here's where the story gets really fucking good. So, he puts me on hiatus, and I'm supposed to come back at WrestleMania to screw him over in the main event, because he was facing Gilbert Blades in the main event. Well, what had happened was, building up. By the time the show was about to be uploaded, Grunge said, I will not work with Monoxide. Myself. I refuse to work with him. He's boring. He hasn't done this, he hasn't done that, he's terrible, the show has done so much better without him. Then David, to his credit, I'm going to get, as much as I don't like David right now, to his credit, he pulled up all of the views of any video that I was on. He pulled up all of the statistics and said, dude, it says right here that anytime I put this guy on my show, I get more views, I get more ratings. It says it right here. He's obviously adding more than what you're saying. So, actually, let me back up a bit. It was you that told me that he didn't want to work with me. When I told David that, he said, let me talk to him. Maybe Alex misunderstood him. And when he talked to him, same thing. He said he refused to work with me. So they go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until Grunge just basically said this. Okay, do whatever you want, but if you have him screw me, then I don't ever want to be in your company anymore. To make matters worse, Grunge, the only thing he could accept, because what was supposed to happen was, it was supposed to be a big triple threat feud afterwards with me, Gilbert, and Grunge. What Grunge wanted to do was lose the title to Gilbert, and then at the very next CPV, lose his rematch clause, and then I just come out, do the suck it sign, and walk out. Yes, because that's going to cause a big impact, and then we have one match and that's it. You screwed me for the fucking title. And I'm not just going to come back to tell you to suck it. No, I'm going to kick you in the damn face. That's my character. I was a disgusting heel. I was their Shawn Michaels when he was in DX.
And also to point out the fact, going back on this situation, as I remember correctly, ECW Grunge was kind of a whiny dick.
He was a dick. He was a real dick. From my experience.
As I remember it, he was very up his own ass. He was on his dick.
I heard he changed years later because
I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know because I haven't talked to him since 2009. Ever since that time when he did that, I found him disingenuous. So I didn't want anything to do with him. Again, he could have changed. But now my biggest worry was, to David, was what happens if he spoils the main event? What if he goes on YouTube and says, oh, this is what's going to happen, and spoils the whole thing? Luckily, he didn't. He brought Grunge back one time for me to beat him in a last man standing match. I think it was last man standing. And that was it. That's pretty much the story. He refused to want to work with me, which, it's whatever. I mean, I'm over it. It was 6 years ago. That's the story.
Mm-hmm. And we're sticking to it.
Alright, what was it like working with Kristen and Dee throughout the years? It says here you guys seem like close friends, and talk about your experiences.
We have not been close recently. I spoke to Kristen yesterday. That was the first time I spoke to her since June. Dee I haven't spoken to in about a year. That's all personal stuff that we're not going to get into. But when we first started, yeah, we were all like a tight unit. We were all like a clique, in a way. It was us, them two, Travis, Paul, Boo Boo, MB, Gilbert was in and out. Johnny Thunder, yeah. The thing about Gilbert was I wouldn't consider him in the group.
He's certainly friends with...
He's friends, but I wouldn't call him a part of it. Like, he was like, if we were the clique, like the wrestling clique, he was like just incredible. He was like there, in and out.
Why you gotta choose the bald guy, man?
Could have been worse. I gotta compare him to Sonny, who apparently was a part of the clique too, according to her. But, yeah, no, I somewhat in, somewhat out, but that was our clique. As far as working with them, I wouldn't know, because Dee wasn't into this shit as much as Kristen was.
Now,
or is, I should say.
I will say, having them in my company back with YLWA was a blast, because they loved their characters, they had a good time with it, I could see that. They were a knockoff of the Beautiful People, and they took their characters differently than the TNA Velvet Sky, Angelina Love duo did, and I liked it. They had fun with it, and it was nice. They also, I could see different sides of their characters, and maybe like improvement in mic work, in their YTCW work with D-Money, and being like the GM, and
that I
wrestler, and then
that was Dee's best
Kristen turning into like the Chris Kennedy, and sort of getting into like booking roles and stuff like that in YTCW, SWAs, even MWE, things like that.
I think Dee's best work was when she was GM.
Yeah.
I remember telling her that you remind me, character-wise, of Vicky Guerrero.
Yeah, actually.
And I don't know if she was just busting my balls or not, but I think it seemed like she was taking it the wrong way. Like, how can you compare me to Vicky Guerrero?
But regardless, as far as Dee goes, it's been about the same time that we haven't spoke. We never really did talk all that much, though, in the first place. She talked to almost everybody in the group more than me, so it was whatever.
Me and Dee stopped talking religiously since 2012.
And as far as me and Kristen go, we both talked to her yesterday, so...
Right, but I think you've been talking to her much more than I have.
Not much more. That was the first time I actually got a conversation with her in a few months at least. But I try to stay in touch as much as I can. At least with Kristen, because me and her got along great, and, you know, as far as, like, personal...
Oh, yeah, she is more personable.
Yeah.
Of the two.
Yeah, so as far as anything on a call level or on a personal level, no hard feelings. I'll love if Dee ever want to talk again. I'd be
That's
open
Kristen
to it.
right now. She's showing her anger.
And if Kristen ever want to get back involved with call,
Either she heard what I said about Dee or something, or Roman Reigns just won a match or something.
Yeah. But
she hates Roman Reigns just as much as everybody, so...
Either way, if they made their way back into call, I would love to actually have them do the Beautiful People gimmick again. I think they would love to do it too, but that would just be a matter of time. We'll see.
All right. For the both of you, what was the inspiration behind your respective call shows?
What was the what? I'm sorry?
The inspiration behind...
Okay, so...
Inspiration behind SWA, inspiration behind YLWA.
Alright, SWA. Funny story how that came about. I was considering opening a call fit back in early 09. I think it was Paul that finally pushed me to do it. Morris, for anybody who doesn't know that is. And I did. When I did it, it was supposed to be just a call league where there was no drama. Nobody's going to get pissed off what they do. Everybody can do what they want. Despite what Kevin said on Ask.fm, I allowed anybody to do what they want unless it was too outlandish. So...
Unless it involved me being a good character.
Right, so...
Because Alex Impact sucked horse dick.
Yeah, he did this character called Alex Impact, and you did a promo while you were sick, and you were stuffed up.
I don't even remember.
I remember it because it was on the show where Patriot, because Patriot was the commentator at one time. It was him and Kristen who had this character called Michelle Saint. She was everything polar opposite of what Patriot was. She was Canadian. She was she lesbian or bisexual? I can't remember. Bisexual. She would gawk at all the male and female wrestlers. Patriot would be like, "You will respect them as athletes. And you are Canadian. I will deport you immediately." He had one match at one point with Travis's character, Travis Burke. And he cheated by pushing the ref into Travis, went outside the ring, grabbed that sledgehammer, whacked him in the stomach while the ref wasn't looking, pinned him. And Patriot's excuse was he went to the referee and said the blue blazer's up in the sky. He tripped and fell. He went under the ring. Hornswoggle handed him a hammer. He ran into the ring. Travis happened to run into the hammer. And then when he pinned him, he put his feet on the ropes, and he goes, no, the ropes went under my feet. There is a huge difference. See, that was what commentary was. The match would be happening, and all that's going on is Michelle and Patriot would argue with each other.
Now, sometimes it would detract from the match, but it was so entertaining that it didn't really matter.
Right. Now, later on, I created this character called Steven Meadows, who was just supposed to be like a JR, Michael Cole.
He's supposed to be the white guy in the middle of everybody on SmackDown.
Pretty much.
Whoever he is.
The Josh Matthews, if you will.
Well, this is a great match here, ladies and gentlemen. What a headlock. Oh.
What a takedown.
Oh, man. Oh, what a great maneuver.
So, yeah, I think when I did WrestleMania, I might just re-upload that show, because that's a show I'm proud of making, because it put an end to an angle that I did for like a year and 3 months, which was the Revolution angle.
And the Gilbert Blaze Patriot storyline.
Yes, that was a big storyline, because Patriot back in the day was supposed to be a homophobe. Because, you know, back in the day, oh, you're gay. So that intertwined with everything. And I remember having them have a stare down and having Gilbert say, the one thing I didn't like about you, Patriot, is because over something so superficial, you didn't like me. Now, to be fair, when I first did the angle, Patriot was the heel and Gilbert was the face. But I had to cut it off for a bit because of personal shit. And when I brought it back, I built it up even longer. And by that point, Gilbert was the heel and Patriot was the face. Because Gilbert was part of the Revolution. That was the guy, Gilbert. That was the
missing link.
The missing link. Gilbert Blaze was a part of the Revolution. And I was a part of the Revolution, too. I forgot about that. Yes. So, despite that, that was a culmination. It was supposed to be, later on, a Fed where you can rely on the matches being good. So that's what I loved. I loved good matches.
Now, for YLWA, when it was originally created, YLWA was not even a Fed.
Oh, God.
If we are going to go way back, YLWA was originally created by me and a good friend of mine who I haven't talked to in years, but if I talk to him again, we'd probably hit it off like old buddies again. AG Vito, Anthony. And me and him, who was one of my first actual like internet buddies, basically through YouTube and wrestling, literally dressed up in different luchador masks. I was a character named El Guapo, and he was Fernando Sanchez. And we punched at our cameras.
That was...
Literally, we, like... It's almost impossible to describe without literally making myself feel like the dumbest person alive. However, to try and make it seem less stupid, or at least like give an excuse, we were what, 14, 15 at the time, and just starting out how to use YouTube. So this is like 2008. Alright? Didn't even know about Call. AG was the one to discover YTCW.
Yeah.
He showed me that. I looked into it. I wanted to do that. So after like 2 videos of me and him, like just literally boom, boom, like selling fake punches that aren't even, like the person's 500 miles away from you. Okay?
Yes.
That's how bad it was. I decided that I wanted to rip off YTCW, basically. I wanted to do that, and I wanted to go against them, too. I had some balls on me for a kid.
Yes,
I didn't even want to start a Fed. I wanted to start a Fed and go right after an already established Fed. Like, right out the gate.
Especially with...
Didn't even know how to use a capture card at this point, right? Got it in the mail, got to work, figured out how to edit and do all this stuff. At first, like the first year of YLWA was just abysmal. It was trash.
Wait, the first? I thought it was the only.
No. The original, like, Call incarnation of YLWA, this was when we were going up against YTCW.
Oh, that's when I was Chuck Taylor, that's right.
Yes. So this was when we were absolute garbage, right? But we were also going up against YTCW. So we were getting views, we were getting attention from them. Shit was serious, too. Like, I want to steal their talent, everything. Some of these ideas were being fed into my ear by AG, by the way. I was very successful as a kid. But regardless, it ended up being some crazy fun. I got some stories to tell from that. And then, when I actually sort of grew up a bit and we were no longer doing the drama with YTCW, stuff cooled off, I made YLWA into a federation that ended up being a combination of, like, mid-90s WCW, ECW, and Chikara. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Those 3. You throw all that shit together, you got YLWA. You had some of the most outlandish characters that were main event stars, and you had some of the most serious people in like the upper mid card. You got everything everywhere. You got a crazy women's division where they're having like fatal 4-way no holds barred matches or something like that. You got, for instance, the team ratings edition of YLWA Rush, which was like our battleground, is immortalized in my memory for being it's not a good show. Like it's
not supposed to be though.
And that's the thing about YLWA. I got away with so much of that as a Fed owner that no one else could get away with nowadays.
Exactly.
My logos would sometimes wouldn't even appear on the screen. Other times I wouldn't even edit that well. Some of the storylines I had going on were non-existent as far as the logical side of it goes. This was also before there were a lot of storyline quick videos to do with the characters and cause and stuff like that, so I had to come up with shit on the fly most of the time. It was sometimes very poorly put together in terms of how clean and crisp everything looks nowadays. But for what it was worth, when I brought it back and I had Wrestling Jesus, Paul Rose, The Knox, Johnny Thunder, I had the Bombshell division, which was my women's division, my tag team division was on point, I had a strong upper mid-card too at one point. I did a tag team tournament called, what was it? Son of a bitch.
You would know better than me.
Tag team tournament, it was, well I forget. Travis would know because he did a tribute to it with COH.
Tag Team Warfare.
Yeah, something like that. It wasn't.
Well, that's what he calls it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I had some stuff going on there as far as ideas that I look back on and it's like, holy shit, how did I actually pull that off at that age? Because that's some stuff I haven't even seen today. So as far as YLWA goes, if you want to look back on it, the channel's still up. I do plan, and I've already talked to people about this. The people that already know about this already know, but I'm also announcing it on here as well. YLWA is coming back. So we got some big news there. Just dropped a little bit of a bombshell. No pun intended. YLWA is coming back. It is not coming back 100%. I'm going to try and do the old COH way of doing shows. Big show every month, basically. I want to try and build up some storylines. I want to add in some people that I love that are going on nowadays. Like, I think Jay would do so well in YLWA.
Oh, Jay Crack would.
Yeah, Jay Crack would be a huge hit in that company.
The Patriot needs to be more into it.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a whole lot of people I see nowadays that I would love to bring into the Fed, and then make YLWA old and new again. So it's going to happen. I'm going to put in work on it. I gotta get WWE 14. Has to happen. And then from there we'll go on. But YLWA will come back. People will know. I want to do some super shows with like COH and YWF and CWS or whatever other feds are out there right now. Put some other people over. You know? I want to give some rubs, basically, to people. Because I know I'm not going to do it for like another year. I'll just do it for some fun. Have a good enough time with it. And give it a send-off. A proper send-off, which it hasn't gotten yet. So, that's it about SWA and YLWA. Sorry for the rants on that one, but...
Well, since you said it's
about 7 years.
Come back, what about SWA? Will we ever see another SWA show?
You know, I don't want to hit the whole never say never. Because I know people just cling on to that and have hope. But I might have to say that because... there's always that thought of mine that says, yeah, I do would like to bring it back. The only thing is, the capture card that I use is a Dazzle, and it does not work the same way as the capture card that he had recommended me to. When he recommended me to, you just hit record, it gets the footage that you want, and then you stop record, the video file's there. Dazzle, on the other hand, it comes in like a DVD format, so that you have to convert the thing, and then the thing looks all distorted. It's a pain in the ass to put together. The other thing, too, as I mentioned earlier, the whole YouTube restrictions. I don't like YouTube's restrictions. Vimeo, I tried as an alternative, but same thing, the restrictions are still there. So, I'll just say, again, never say never. There is a possibility, but as of right now, it's not on my mind.
Okay. To both of you, what are your thoughts on fantasy call leagues?
As in, like, no DQ, SMF, and all that? I don't watch them. When I started, I only watched SMF and No DQ.
Yeah.
For the time, they were really good. I don't think I could watch them now.
Right.
Because now we've come to this evolution, or at least everybody who's into this comes to the evolution that, yes, we can cut promos, we can actually voice these promos and actually give more emotional drive to these feuds.
Yeah, and we can be original. That's the other thing, too. You can be original while also still pulling from certain places or certain characters or ideas. You can do that. It's very possible. And as far as those go, SMF will go down in history as perhaps the biggest, fed that ever existed.
Yeah.
Because that place was popular as shit. And when Caw first actually got popular, it probably was because of SMF.
That and No DQ.
Mm-hmm.
No DQ.
You gotta give him credit there. But it's been taken over from the look of it by people who actually know, how to do some original stuff. There are people I haven't even heard of that have original characters. They're, legendary already in the Caw wrestling world. Which, not to detract from it, but being legendary in this sort of situation is I don't know, being the one-eyed man where everybody else is blind or something. I don't know. It's to me, it's nothing crazy big. You're really just another person. Some people can really get egos, but
like those bastards.
But regardless, they played their part. I do think nowadays, though, like Steve said, it's not something I can get into as much. Very entertaining, though.
Right, for its time, definitely.
Alright, this is back from when I had Ken Phoenix on my podcast, and we talked about how Caw used to be was fantasy and how it's evolved and changed. And now this question is saying, do you think Caw wrestling will ever die? And I think they mean by that because we're at this part of Caw, there's no evolution to the next part. You think Caw will die? You think there's so much more for Caw?
It'll only die if we let it. It's one of those things that if everybody comes to a pact and says we don't care about this anymore, then yeah, it will die. But even if all of us around CUH, YWF, whatever you want to call it, AWF, and ECF, if we all decide to just fuck off with it, there's always another group out there that's probably thinking to themselves to do it. So all that's going to happen is spawn some new people, but we probably wouldn't be involved.
Right.
So,
and there's not to try and actually break it down into a scientific idea, it can't die. Just because it's gone in one facet doesn't mean it's gone. For instance, Caw can still exist, perhaps beyond this, and what we're doing with original characters and stuff like that, in completely new ways that we'll never even think of until 5 or 10 years down the line, when maybe one of us is just scrolling on YouTube, for instance. At some point or another, we just happen to see something, and it's whoa, I never even thought of that. I never thought of doing that. I never thought of that idea. Never thought of going to this point or doing A to B or whatever.
right.
It always changes, and it's just a little bit of history repeating, as the song goes.
Alright. What does succeeding in Caw mean?
Succeeding in Caw means that you knew the right people, you aren't a complete asshole all the time, you are good on the mic, you know what your character is, and you know how to play it.
What he said.
And an emphasis on the people that you know and how nice you are. Because there are some people that suck asshole and they still get pushes. Or they still get titles no matter how trash they are. Promo-wise, character-wise, whatever. Just because they're a pretty good person behind the scenes and they know the owner or something like that. Now, I'm sure somebody thinks the same way about us in that vein. But we beg to differ.
Well,
But
to be fair, we've been friends with Travis way before COH.
Yeah.
But I think Travis, see, here's the thing. It's like in the vein of Marco and Amir. Marco trusts Amir because they're friends, and Amir's not going to just duck him one day. It's the same thing with Travis. He knows that guys like myself, Bateman, Alex, I mean, we're not going to just up and walk, or we're going to have a fight or whatever. They can trust us, which is why they put so much emphasis on this. If anybody's asking why we get so much time, it's because he knows he can trust us, and he knows that he can come to us if he can't figure out what to do.
He allows us that time, by the way.
Right.
He never tells us, A, redo that promo, it's like 5 minutes too long.
Right. He trusts us to come up with some ideas, which is why we, in a sense, have creative control. We don't have creative control over things that have no involvement with us. He may come up to me and say, what do you think I should do here? I'll give him my advice. He sometimes takes it, sometimes he doesn't. But when it comes to me, I always try to make it so that I'm benefiting as well as the person I'm working with. So, as far as succeeding in call, like I said, I've succeeded so much that the only way that you could really do it is like he said, just don't be a jerk. Know your place. You're not the boss. At the end of the day, the boss is the person that's busting their ass. Respect the boss. And if you get denied something, sure, state your case, but don't overpush the issue.
The way I put it is a simple phrase, and it stuck with me ever since I even thought of it. Know your role, but never accept your position. Because your role and your position are two different things. You just gotta figure it out.
Alright, this one's for Alex.
Oh.
As a resident of Florida, therefore under the jurisdiction of their court system, how do you feel about, by proxy, endorsing the murders of Kaylee Anthony and Trayvon Martin?
Here we go.
Hey.
Please keep it short. I know you're going to go on all day about that.
Wow. Okay, well, to just keep it as short as possible, Florida is the joke of the United States. We are filled with crazy people. Our laws are stupid. The stand your ground law is, for the most part, some of the most bullshit excuses I've ever heard to kill people in the history of law. The Anthony situation is that's the situation where the mom killed her, right? That's a bit different than the Trayvon Martin situation.
Wait, Kaylee Anthony, you said?
Well, she was the daughter.
I thought you meant... Oh, okay. Yeah, Casey Anthony was the mother.
Yeah, she's
okay,
the mother.
Okay, go on.
So, either way, terrible, unfortunate, and hopefully situations that will never ever happen again in this state. However, I doubt that, because after moving to Florida and living here now for 6 years, I can safely say that this is the closest place the United States has to hell. And it's nothing, like, the weather here is great, most of the time, but people here, after, like, the first few months of, like, ooh, Florida, it's so beautiful, look at all these nice southern people, oh, look at the drawl, they have this nice little southern accent to them, they're so polite in mannerism. No, alright? It's filled with old people who hate you, it's filled with young people that you want to hate, but you can't because half of them are so goddamn good looking that you just want to fuck them to death. And then the rest of them are, I don't know actually, there are just some other weird people out there. There's some southern rednecks who have had their brains fried by the sun because it's so hot down here, so they just kill. And they don't give a shit. They'll kill you, they'll wave a Confederate flag in your face while doing so. I've seen numerous trucks here that have the American flag and the Confederate flag going side by side together, right?
Well, wait, Alex, you gotta remember, this is America, damn it.
Right.
America, damn it.
And in America, we hate black people, I guess, apparently. I don't know. Here's a good question.
No, just we hate people that think for themselves.
Here's a good question to almost anybody that exists in the South. When's the last time you saw a black guy with a Confederate flag shirt, or like on his shorts, or on his truck, or just like anywhere around him? Where is the last time you seen a black person with the Confederate flag? I don't think you have, because if you have, that black person hates themselves. Or they're like Kanye West trying to send some sort of artistic message. But that's about it. Like, literally, you have two situations. They either hate themselves or they're Kanye West. And that's it. Besides that, Florida kind of sucks. So, let's move on from that.
Yeah, sure.
Because I will go on.
Yes, he
You
will.
guys don't understand.
He will. He will. I've had to put up with it for years.
Alright,
It sucks!
for Steve, why don't you and Amir like each other?
He's taking off the glasses, folks! Okay. We had buried the hatchet. But, since you asked, and this is supposed to be an open forum, and I know Amir will give his response, that's fine, I don't care. My thing with Amir, and I've said this to him thousands of times, and hopefully this will be the last. My problem with Amir, which he admits, is he is arrogant. He's not confident. He's not assured of himself that he is talented. He is arrogant. There's a difference between knowing that, hey, I can go out there, I can make a promo, alright, that's good. It's a good promo. I know it deep down inside. There's a difference between that than, oh, my promo is fucking awesome. Yours sucks. Yours will never match up to me. That's the type of attitude Amir brings to people, and I personally don't like it. He will admit it. He's even said that he's got tons of people that tell him that he's arrogant. So, when a lot of people are telling you you're arrogant, maybe you should keep in mind that you are arrogant. So, give him credit on that. But, not to delve into all the specifics, but to me, Amir is like the type of guy that will go up to somebody, do this, slap him across the face, then Alex, for example, that I just did it to, will smack me back, and then I go, why are you smacking me for? Man, what's your problem? Oh, just because I smacked you in the face doesn't mean you gotta hit me back, man. What the fuck? When he does stuff like that, it bothers me because he doesn't realize that he was the instigator of all these problems. The only specific that I will get into when it comes to our discussion is when we talked about our Twitter exchange, he said that, oh, are you just telling me that I'm supposed to allow these people to belittle me? Well, if you really didn't care as much as you say you don't care, if it really is not that big of an issue with you, you would not have responded, and you would not have asked people why you are hated so much. And that's the other thing. He confuses me too, because he'll say stuff like, well, I don't care, but at the same time I'm going to ask you why you hate me because I want to get it resolved. So, he's confusing to me as far as his logic. He's arrogant. That's my issues with him. And that, he's probably got some issues with me as well. If you bring him onto the show, he'll probably tell you all of his issues with me. That's perfectly fine. But understand that I can accept that. And as much as he may say he accepts it, something deep down inside tells me he doesn't accept the fact that I'm pointing this out. That's my problem with him. And to end it on this note, like I said, there's no beef between us. There's none. I know Marco wanted that squashed. I told Marco from the get-go, even when we weren't getting along, fine, if you want me to work with him, I'm not going to tell you no. But understand that, even to this day, Amir's not a type of guy that I would invite over to fucking dinner. He just isn't. At one point, yeah, we used to talk religiously. And he was, from my standpoint, he was very fun to talk to. But then I started to notice this side, and he brought it on to numerous people. So that's just the way I see it. Oh, and furthermore, the one thing I don't like was when he basically expected Travis to just hand him everything. That's the other thing. He likes to have everything handed to him. He may deny it, but I've seen it. And yeah, that's it.
All right. For Alex, what made you want to join COH?
Whoa. Wasn't it you? Didn't you, like, tell me to join it?
You would know better than me on that one.
It was, like, COH at the time, I originally didn't. I would have been involved in the original incarnation of COH, like, with Justin Bateman and everybody.
Right.
Didn't happen. I wanted to see where it was going. Because I wanted to see where Travis would take it. And as soon as I saw it, like, wherever that point was, that I basically saw that Travis was, like, this company was in such good hands, clearly, as I saw he was, like, with the work he was doing. He was stepping up his owner game. He was stepping up his booking and storylines. His commentary as Oliver Spinebreaker got better and better. And by the way, Oliver Spinebreaker, in my personal opinion, is the best, like, overall commentator to have on the show. Just, like, if you're going to have one person, just make it Oliver and you'll be fine. Like, you don't, if you need two people, go ahead. But he was fantastic doing that. And then after that, I also realized that I had to stop it with this Alex Impact nonsense I was doing in SWA. That was around the same time, I guess. I went from SWA, stopped doing that for a few months.
At that time, you were doing Alex Zane.
Okay. I was Alex Zane. That was another different character, too. I didn't want to do Alex Zane and COH. I remember that clearly. And then I became Alex Enterprise. Which Alex Enterprise, the Alex Enterprise, originally was a playoff of Brian Kendrick, the Brian Kendrick. I was supposed to be like a cocky, arrogant heel. I didn't have too much of a depth to me until like my first 6 months after I joined COH. It took a little like time to find a character. It took time to find what I really wanted to do. But what made me really join COH was the booking, was the really nice like roster that the company had at the time, and even better to this day in my opinion. And also I was going to try and work with this guy finally. That's what I wanted to do sooner or later. The idea of it, like when I originally started in there, was sooner or later I'd figure out a way to get myself, it was like at least like a tag team partner or something with this guy. It was inevitable. So that was another thing too. I want to make sure that if I was going to be doing anything as like a call wrestler, I didn't want to do it solo. So that was another thing. I want to join COH because of all those reasons.
And what made you want to become the American Terrorist?
That was something actually what made me. I remember the first promo that really started it off was the one I did post Fright Night after I beat Brett Titus. That was the one where Justin Bateman pointed out that promo amongst everybody else's and was like, yo, dude, this guy has fire.
But to me,
people need to get involved with him. And then from there, I realized what it is that people enjoyed from that promo. And that's what helped me with the character.
But I don't think that's where the American Terrorist really shone.
No, the American Terrorist idea I came up with, like, this was after I even joined the Accurate Enterprise.
I think, well, the planting of the seeds was when we did the kidnapping angle. We saw you do a little bit more evil than you were, like, shown for. Or a little more, like, just despicableness. But I think the day that the American Terrorist was born was the day that you cut that promo on Zane, where you said it was not fair.
And that's the thing, too.
What I think
the idea of the character, the American Terrorist, the Alex Enterprise. Think about that nickname, first of all. It makes almost no sense. American Terrorist. We always look at terrorists as people who are outside of this country, basically, with darker skin. Right?
Timothy McVeigh.
Right. And that's not the case at all. I am personally a very political, socially active person. I follow a lot. I have very deep-rooted, not a whole lot, but very deep-rooted human core beliefs about myself. And the way I discovered American politics and how, like, the history of this country has worked and treated people is, most of the time, abhorrent and disgusting, if we're being completely honest. So, as a person who is discovering all this as I'm growing up, what do you feel? You feel anger, you feel animosity, you feel betrayed. You don't feel the same sort of warm feeling in your gut that you get when you're doing the Pledge of Allegiance or singing the national anthem with everybody at the ball game. You don't really feel like you want to stand up and praise the red, white, and blue anymore. If you are going to be honest and real about how the country is. It's true. It's a sad but true statement, and it's something I had to try and go for with the characters. So, I took a little bit of CM Punk, I took a little bit of Bane from The Dark Knight Rises, I took a little bit of Zack De La Rocha from Rage Against the Machine, and I threw it all together with like this sort of anti-American, grungy, dark punk sort of mystique about it, and I turned it into some punk kid who basically grew up from a broken home, had to deal with a lot of bullshit with his parents, which some is actually real. You won't ever probably know what part of the storyline of my character is real or not, but I based at least 3/4 of it on actual stuff from my past, actual historical things that have happened. And that's why you see almost every promo I cut, all the emotion that's in there. Because it's not like a character anymore. It's me just trying to discover all these old parts of memories that I didn't want to think about and just channel it into an aggression of some sort. And that's how I came up with the character. The character is despicable in most, like, 99.9% of the time. But the other part of him is 99.7% of the time, he's also right. And that's one of the best things about a great villain, in my opinion. There's other villains that just do what they do, like, for instance, with him, his Joker, where he's like, you don't know why he's doing what he's doing, all you know is that he's doing it, and you just gotta figure out how to stop him, or you're gonna be fucked up. Me, I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm about to do what I'm doing. I'm gonna tell you why you have failed. I'm gonna tell you why everybody you know has failed, and I'm not going to fail, because I'm going to kill you or something. I don't know. I'm going to do some crazy-ass shit. But I'm going to let you know. And that's the thing. It was the dichotomy of the characters I found, where it was just two different types of evils. And I had to just be the other one. And I figured it out. American terrorist.
Alright. This one's a big one.
Oh boy.
It's in all caps.
Oh, jeez.
So you know it's important. Are Patriot, Gluteus, and Democracy the same guy?
Who came up with that rumor?
I don't know.
I don't know. See, okay. Ready to Rumble, I think it was the first one. Go back, I think it was right before it. There was a promo uploaded with Gluteus and Patriot in the same room arguing. That dispels the fucking rumor. Not only that, but I am not as big as the Patriot, I'm not as big as Gluteus, I'm not as threatening as Gluteus, and I'm not as strong as the Patriot.
Yeah, seriously, look at him.
I have said that I think that Capital Dude is the Patriot. Now, as far as Gluteus, I think that may be Travis. I'm starting to think.
Honestly, as far as Gluteus goes, I think I know who it is. You know who I think it is?
Who do you think it is?
I think it's Imposter Kane.
Probably.
He's had to figure out to do something after all this time.
Yes, true. That was him.
Who else could it be? That guy's huge.
True that.
Well, since we cleared up that rumor,
Yeah, seriously. Shut up about it.
Seriously.
how did you meet Patriot and Gluteus?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, here we go.
It was
Gluteus actually I've met. It was a not long walk on the beach. Okay, Gluteus actually came about before Call. We had a gimmick where on YouTube when I was doing videos that Gluteus would do random videos and that he would come in but we never interacted. It would be like he would come in, like I remember Rob when he did his YouTube videos, he would need an intro. Gluteus would come in, do his little thing, run out, and then I'd be like, what the fuck just happened? We never would interact. Like, he would come into my room when I wasn't there, okay? But the first time I met him, or first time he wanted to do a promo and call, I should say, he came through the door and went like this. Bam! And he came up to me, pointed at the same door he just came through, and went, out! You don't question him after he says that.
Especially someone that size.
If he, and a dick his size, trust me.
You don't want to know the amount of inches.
Exactly. So, if you question him, he will pound your face in with his dick. He's saying something. So anyways, especially he would know the size, by the way. Patriot is a weird case. See, this guy... You know, you almost accidentally hit me. So, this guy likes to talk about political stuff. As you can tell, he's sort of leaning on the liberal side. Patriot is conservative.
Dang it.
So you can tell why they feuded.
It made perfect sense.
Right. They are the yin and yang. Complete polar opposites. But I met him through the fact that you and I had the political discussions, and that's when he came along and said, I'm going to do this call stuff, and I'm going to take it by the balls.
Mm-hmm.
And he did.
And boy, was it entertaining.
Right.
Patriot was, when I first met him, he was a different cat. He's changed. He really changed. Like, there are so many different sides to Patriot, it's almost like he has a different mask for every federation he's in. It's always the same person.
But the funny thing is, about Patriots, he's a guy that can go everywhere and do something different. Like, I've had ideas of Patriot doing a Fandango gimmick.
Patriot does all these things.
Yes.
By the way. He doesn't say no to shit.
I had an idea where he would be Damien Sandow somewhere, but he would get every big word pronounced wrong, and he would have Kid USA, which was his tag team partner in YLWA. Like, he would say, like, Ignoramus or something, and Kid USA would be like, it's ignoramus, man. And then he would go up to you and go, silence! Yo! Silence! It was great. I don't know who would pick up on that, but it would be perfect if they ever do that.
Yeah.
So, COH became his home, in a way, and it wasn't supposed to be his home. He was supposed to be a one-timer.
He actually just gave me the idea for how I'm going to bring back the All-American Heroes.
Oh, God. Anyways, so he was only supposed to be a part-timer, but apparently, from what I heard, he got popular. And that was that.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's the world champion.
Well, now with those stories of meeting Gluteus and Patriot, how did you two meet each other?
Oh, God. That's going way back. Like, late 2007. Okay, here's what I remember. You may not remember it the way I do. I remember I got an inbox. It was from this fucker here. Completely different guy. See, this guy used to rock the bowl cut haircut. I mean, he literally reminded me of that character that Jim Carrey played in Dumb and Dumber.
Lloyd Christmas?
Yes, with that hair. It was so bad.
Lloyd Christmas, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I was just missing a buck tooth.
So, it was a video of you talking about Raymond 14. And you actually sided with me on that. So, I looked into your channel, and you had connections. You had a radio show. You brought me on that radio show.
So originally, basically, this guy was using me. If we're really go back.
What are you saying used to? What's this used to? What makes you think I'm not doing it now? I mean, I could be using you right now just so that I can go on these rides at Universal.
You could just be using me to get on this show.
Exactly. I was using you with the Accurate Enterprise, so.
That's true.
So, anyways,
Darn you for
we did the radio show, but we didn't get close until 2010 when we first actually met up in Phoenix.
I'd say that we were close by at least 2009, enough that you would have met me in 2010.
But I think what sealed it was, in 2010, to anybody who doesn't know, I was going through some fucking rough shit that I'm not going to disclose here. Has nothing to do with Caw. I was going through some rough shit. And there was only one guy that was there for me throughout that whole entire roller coaster and fucking put up with my bullshit. That guy right there. So, if I had to ask somebody, if I decided to just drop, like, you know those whole scenarios where I'm going to fall backwards and I'm going to rely on this person to catch me, he'd be the first one I expect to just dive and catch me.
I'm probably just going to end up letting you fall on my belly because it's the softest thing on me.
Now, I've always often described our relationship as Shawn and Hunter.
Oh.
The reason is because I came in, I was already successful. This guy wanted to learn from the best. He learned from the best and became the best. He basically became dominant.
Let's be real too. As far as both me and him go, like, to be honest, there is a bit of a power hungriness to me that Triple H also has. Triple H, you don't like him as far as like a person or anything? Or?
I just don't like the fact that he is the reason why some of the quality on our television is subpar because he doesn't want to elevate talent. Other than now that he's a part-timer and he helped Daniel Bryan and he's helping NXT. But before that.
Now, me as a person, I think Triple H is the shit bombski. Like, Triple H is, there's like 4 or 5 people, if I could be someone in wrestling, where it's like, yo, I just want to be the guy with the biggest dick to just sling everyone. You know, that's Triple H, basically. Here's Triple H, and here is almost everybody else. And he's just like, I get to choose. I get to choose. Are you going to be here? Or are you going to be here? Are you going to be here? Here. I get to do it. Yay. That sort of like puppet mastery is something I kind of enjoy. As terrible as it may sound. He's also a great character and a fantastic wrestler. So, you have that. But it works. It really does. The comparison helps. I love it. Because here I am as someone who is fighting the power, or fought the power at some point. Who knows? Maybe I might go corporate. I might like to dress up a little bit more and not be the grungy jacket-wearing, you know, man of the people or something like that. Perhaps I might want to look like I just came out of a fucking GQ magazine or some shit like that and shit on everybody style-wise just because I can and be that other person that I can also be. It can happen, but the comparison works. Because regardless, no matter what happens with me, he was the best first. So, gotta give it up.
Alright, for Steve, explain your experience in CWS, and was management high on you? I know the answer.
I know management was high.
Yeah, they were high when they had me drop to the Warrior.
Oh, it was so dumb.
Yes. So, anyways, who was running that fit? It was Nate and AJ, right? AJ was really
into you.
He wanted to push me to the moon.
I just kept on falling asleep.
And Skype calls, definitely, yes. Maybe,
we're gonna do the greatest stuff for you, Steve, man. It's gonna be all...
Yes, so, anyways, I always got the vibe that Nate didn't care about me. He claims he doesn't, I don't know. It's whatever. I remember at one point I asked Nate when he made a list of people he released, and my name was not on it. I'm like, why is my name not on there? I feel like you have nothing for me. You had me job to, who was that guy that I jobbed to at one of the Call Stars? Heath Hitton, I think, or...
Anal Butt Monkey.
It was one of his guys. I think he was a creative guy who was like the world champion at the time.
Well, I can't remember.
Swag and McGillicuddy.
Whatever. So anyways, he had me job to that, so I was like, what's the point? Then he had me win the United States title from, I think Nathan Vale. It was Nathan.
Yeah, because he got
Roberts.
the belt back, yeah.
So, I won the title, and then I don't know what happened to CWS after that. I think it just disintegrated.
He just died.
Nate's doing another Fed though, right?
He's trying to do
He's
WCW.
trying to, but with WCW. But I'm not a part of it. So, anyways, from what I'm told, this is only from AJ's side. I never got Nate's side, so I'm not saying this is the pure facts. They struggled with me. Like, AJ had to fight, claw, and almost like drag him, kicking and screaming, just to get him to put that belt on me. Or to get him to do something with me. So, that's all I'm going to say. If Nate gets a platform where he can explain inside, feel free. Because I'm not going to say AJ's telling the 100% truth because I was not there.
I do think it's interesting, though, that, and this is not to just add fuel to the fire or anything like that, but I did see that if Nate were to, like, have his own faction of guys, it would have been Goonie, Kevin, Vaughn, I think it was Amir, and then me.
Well, Amir came in later, yeah.
He threw me in there as well. I like that he threw me in there, I'm not gonna lie. Like, still, it's kudos to me, I guess, because Nate is also someone who I have credit given to for his experience, and his opinion it carries a bit more weight to it because of his experience as well. But it is kind of weird. But it's like, maybe he just doesn't like the character or something.
Well, it was Steve Parkinson. He was supposed to be like Wade Barrett, but he would make a lot of metaphors. Like trying to compare his opponent to stuff.
I see.
So.
Interesting.
But like I said, AJ was a very big, like he was the reason why I got anything in the company. So,
interesting.
So.
Who knows, man? It could be like if you always have a certain promo style to you.
Right. And me and Nate, as far as promo styles, are complete polar opposites.
Very true. Yeah.
His interests are complete polar opposites. He's into Scott Hall. He's into Hogan. He's into Nash. As for me, as far as my promo style, I'm Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, Jake Roberts, etc. He likes more of the cool bad guys. I'm more into the sadistic, psychotic bad guys. He likes the bad guys where it's like, damn, I envy that motherfucker. I'm the type of bad guy that's like, wow, he may not be the strongest.
I'm locking my doors.
But I'm locking my door because this motherfucker, I can knock his ass down, but that guy's gonna come right back and ask for more.
He'll crawl.
He'll crawl.
He'll bite my leg off.
So,
I like that.
that's that.
Alright. Now this one's for Steve, but I'll give it for the both of you because you both can do it. If you both rebooted your college shows, but you were given the current COH roster, who would be your champions?
Champions?
Yeah.
So, no women's title, right?
No women's title.
But tag team, mid-card, and then the Pride.
And the World, obviously.
Now, by the way, as the Pride title being my creation, it is not a non-mid-card title. It is a mid-card title. Internet title is more of an upper mid-card title, to be honest. Either way, it's all mid-card stuff.
As far as my world champion, I want it to be somebody that hasn't been champion yet.
My world champion would be Caleb Blair.
Caleb. Yeah, I would say Caleb.
I'll give it to Caleb, or, who else? Let's see. I'd have, Caleb for now. Sounds like a pretty good idea.
Tag team, I would give to probably the New Movement. because they're starting to get their shine in. They're starting to work hard to get established.
They're starting to get something started.
Exactly.
I gotta pay more attention to them. I hear better things.
Sonny would win the Pride title because he hasn't won a title yet, and that would qualify him to win that.
I don't even know if that rule is still in effect, by the way.
Who the hell knows? And the Internet Championship, I would give Kenny Phoenix. Give him some experience with some gold.
I'd actually still say either having one of the other members of Aha Country as the Internet Champion still works. Because it could be Don or it could be Nitro, and it still works to me.
Nitro would be another pick, I would say.
Pride title. Pride title I'd give to Stefan. Because I think as like a character, he could make that title into something really big. Like if you beat Stefan, first of all, he's already feuding with Bateman right now, but even if you didn't even have that happen, his character was still meant to be a badass. So if you beat him, it means something, and then you beat him for a title, it means even more. Tag team wise, it would be Nate the Great and the Goonie, because the fact that they were even a tag team in the first place basically just meant, alright, well, sucks for any of you other guys who are trying to be champions, because you just basically have the all-star team right here. Like, it's almost not fair. Whoever could beat them probably would have to do it by numbers, and if it was going to be somebody, then it might be like Future Flight based on skill or ego based on numbers.
Team I didn't even think about. Yeah, Future Flight could be another tag team.
Besides that, though, for a world title, besides Caleb, it would be either Goonie or Bateman, because they're just guys I can trust in their position. They did it before, and Goonie, personally, I think he was the best champion. Me, personally, I think he was. I think he gave the title a whole different meaning that it didn't have before, because of the storylines that were going on at the time and everything. So, if he had the title belt again, more power to him. That would be me.
Alright, people you think could become the COH World or Global Champion in the next 2 years?
I'm afraid I've got some bad news. And that being that the remainder of this interview with Alex and Steve will continue next week. We still have another hour plus of me interviewing Alex and Steve, asking your questions, finding out what they think, giving their insight, and also we have the also popular name association, which is very, very, very interesting. So interesting, in fact, of all that remains on this upcoming part 2 of the Shawn Walsh Show, that I am right now going to give you a little preview. I'm going to air a few clips from the part 2 of my interview with Alex and Steve. Give you a little taste for next week when we see part 2 of this awesome interview. So thank you for watching the Shawn Walsh Show. I hope you enjoyed the first ever video interview between myself, Alex, and Steve. This will continue, as I said, next week. So instead of me continuing talking, we're just going to go right to the tape. Let's see this exclusive preview.
I didn't think he should have been added in the beginning. It was not my hill to die on, but I don't think his addition would have helped or hurt him.
Justin Collins, for instance, is a very good case of someone who never put his foot down in anything I ever saw him in.
Right, he was too much of a nice guy.
Yeah.
I remember I feel like everything that I've done for him, I don't feel like any appreciation for. Maybe it's just the vibe that I get, but I remember when I gave him the world title for the first time, he acted like as if like he didn't give a fuck, which I'm not talking give a fuck as in like, oh, it's just fun, whatever. Yeah, I'm talking like don't give a fuck, like unappreciated. Like,
I understand he has a bit of a temper.
Yes, he does. I'll give you that. He does have a temper.
He can snap on somebody. I understand that. Now, that's not to give him an excuse, because that's something he needs to work on. Everybody has something that they need to work on, though. Alright? Sometimes there's some stuff that can be said in these Skype calls that can go a bit too far. I know he has said stuff that has gone too far to other people, and he has had stuff said to him that has gone too far. I think Carol gets too much shit sometimes.
He does. All right. To get all serious, yeah, he does get all that shit.
He does.
Despite the way he came off.
Ryan Carroll actually, like, he likes me. I can tell he genuinely, like, actually gives a shit.
And I don't think he's there yet. I'm one of the few who agree. Yeah, his push is a little bit too quick. But if he is gonna get that push, he needs to take that fucking ball and go to the fucking end line.
And to be quite honest, right now, with some of the mid-card in COH, he's working harder than most of you. So, if you're pissed about where he is, that's your own damn fault. Has disappointed me. I wouldn't say immensely, but he's disappointed me a lot because I know the dude's potential. I know where he can go. Like, I know. I seriously know. He could be better than almost everybody. He really can. And he's not. Why? Because he doesn't believe in himself sometimes. We're, like, if we're going to be straight up here, because we're going to be straight up here, Alex Enterprise did it first. And I'm not going to drop names here or say one thing or the other, but just to be straight up, if I was doing something first, like let's say for instance, the upside down American flag, why should I have to change that part of my own gimmick that was already started originally before this even ever came up? Why should I have to change if I'm going to go to some other place? You know? I shouldn't, but I guess I have to, because homegrown talent.
If the Alex Enterprise does lose to M. Accuracy, what is the future of the Alex Enterprise or you in call?